Hi, LA Times readers. Welcome to our live video chat with the Newsroom star Olivia Munn. The second season of the Newsroom returns on July 14th. Hey, Olivia.
Hey, you see me pretty good?
You can lean back.
Oh, I
Hey!
just did the whole.
Or you can just do the eyes, just the eyes. That's great.
Okay, I'm
Uh,
gonna make character.
so, Olivia, your character, Sloan Sabbath, is a financial analyst on the news show. And she also seems to be one of the few level-headed people, perhaps the most level-headed person in the newsroom. Is she going to lose it with these coworkers of hers, or does she like being that?
I think Sloan, her being level-headed, they all have moments of losing it and fumbling and messing up and getting really intense. Um, I think, it might be more of a misconception because I think the way I play her is more, um, is just I play it like that kind of I bury a lot of the emotions, and that's my choice of how I think that that how Sloan lives her life, and so I think it comes off more level-headed, but inside there's all the turmoil. But I think that with Sloan, like the reason why I want to play it that way too, or why it's so important to me, is that it's is that when you're in a work atmosphere, in real life you do have to restrain yourself. You can't just be however you want to be whenever you want to be. Or the scene with Sam Waterston, his character Charlie's yelling at Sloan, and as much as like I've messed up and he's mad at me, there's a lot of things that you have to play. So in that moment, like level-headedness comes across, but it's more of like I think a restraint because I understand he's mad at me. I'm trying to explain it to him. That's the first thing, when someone's mad at you, is trying to explain it, especially if you understand where they're coming from, but you're trying to explain, and then there's the embarrassment of being inside, your own office with your coworkers looking at you as you're getting yelled at by your boss, and just really trying to hold it back as much as you can. So I think, that's I think it probably comes off like more like a level-headedness, but I look at it like she's just she's just trying to be professional and and restrain herself and not be disrespectful to the people that she's working with. And I don't think that she really sees whether or not people are crazy.
Um, Aaron Sorkin's dialogue is filled with all kinds of interesting facts and ideas, and as a financial analyst, you explain a lot of that. Does any of that information stay with you after filming?
Yeah, it does, because for me, being the financial analyst, Sloan Sabbath has two PhDs. Not unlike myself, I have two PhDs from DeVry and ITT Tech, online universities. So we're pretty similar. Now, she and Sloan is by nature somebody that likes to teach and likes to explain things. So for me to do my dialogue and to do it hopefully well, I have to really understand it. So I go through and I have to go and I have to learn everything that I'm saying so that it is knowledgeable and it comes out very easy. So it stays with me. And his dialogue, for me, one of my favorite things to do is, and I've taken such a different path than the other actors on the show, so I don't know if this is like the right thing to do or if it even makes sense. But like, they're all theater trained, and I like to say that I'm YouTube trained. Like I came a completely circuitous route to get to here, and so the way that I break down my scripts, the way that I digest something as dense and complicated and intriguing as a Sorkin dialogue, is I find a theme for every episode, and that's to me that's the key. So once you find that theme, everything unlocks and you can remember it. For example, um, there's a Casey Anthony episode where our show is deciding whether or not we do Casey Anthony story, which is more exploitative, and it's not what we've been doing this whole season. I think that's like episode 7, and my character the entire time is the debt ceiling, the debt ceiling, the debt ceiling. And to understand that and to understand these big passages I have to kind of figure out what exactly am I trying to get across? Like, what's the point? What's my job inside of the whole story? And I think that's the biggest key when you work on a Sorkin show, is that we're all a team. There really is no one star, except for Jeff Daniels. He's the special one. But but my job is just to facilitate the storyline and to be part of that team. And what is he trying to say? So the theme in that is, for me, I had to go up to her and say, we have to talk about the debt ceiling. She's like, why? And finally, I just say, to give time for the people to call their congressman and say, if you fuck with the full faith and credit of the U.S. Treasury, you're fired. To give time for the people to, I can go through the whole passage where I could give you the whole monologue, because I remember it so well, because what I was trying to say was the mirror image, to me at least, and the way that my key into getting that under my belt was, the mirror image of what we're saying throughout the whole show, which is, if you do Casey Anthony, if you make your entire team do this, if you fuck with the full faith and credit of what you have instilled in your newsroom and what we said we were going to do, you're fired. You're going to risk everything. Nobody will believe you. You have to give people time to call their congressman and say, like, don't do this. You got to give people time to, to basically scream and say, hey, this is not what we signed up for. And I'm talking about the debt ceiling, but what we're talking about in that whole episode is Mackenzie trying to not do the Casey Anthony story, but then deciding she has to do it. And it's basically, that is the whole key. It's not really about the debt ceiling. It's not really about Casey Anthony. It's about, we have to live up to who we are, and we have to be respectful of the people and the team that we have around us, and be communicative. And when we ask people to jump on board a ship, if we're deciding to take that ship a different direction, it's our obligation to, no matter what it is, to communicate and discuss it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's related to your approach to the script. One of our readers, Jared McConnell, asks, Aaron Sorkin is known for his very detailed scripts, and you got a great history in live and improvisation. How was that transition, and are you able to bring any of those skills into the filming?
The improv is it comes into play with knowing how to behave off the cuff. Aaron's dialogue, and I've heard people kind of go, it's word perfect and it's period and comma and hyphen perfect. But they say that almost like it's handcuffs, but I find that if you follow it word perfect, it will unlock the clues to the character and who the character is. For example, if you have a character that has a lot of run-on sentences, you know that she's the kind of person that's more like, thoughts are just running out of her head. If you have more short sentences, they have somebody with a staccato way of speaking, and what kind of person that might be. And then they're very deliberate in the way they talk. And the improv comes into play when with reactions and knowing how to listen, because a lot of times, especially in dense things like Aaron's work and dialogue, it's like people are kind of waiting to act, and I think so much happens when you're just responding and not all the nonverbal stuff. And so for me, I can have those, the reactions and stuff, things that you have to have when you're in improv, is just to listen and know when to respond.
Mm-hmm. Last season, there was the hint of a romance between your character and Don Kiefer. And as the season finale ended, you sort of told him those words of tenderness between you would never be spoken of again. Is that going to crop up again in the new season? Are you allowed to say?
I have weird OCD. Bad. So I felt like my hair is sticking out, then I have to. I have bad OCD.
Oh.
Bad. And then it would just forever. That's why webcam things are so horrible. Except for this instance right now, because it's amazing. So much fun. See, like that kind of gives me weird OCD. Back to one.
Go ahead.
What?
I was gonna say, do you wear a lot?
No, what were you gonna say? I wear what?
Hats make everything easier with the hair.
I wear a lot of hats. No, but I should. But that's why I pull my hair back into a ponytail a lot, because I don't like to, because it's a bad OCD. When I was on the Daily Show and I get so nervous before going out, like right before there's the hair and makeup right outside, and it would just be like this, and everything would be, and then I would put it in place, and then and then I would see it again, and I would mess, and then I would have to like yell at myself to like just go work on your lines because it doesn't matter. We're about to go live in front of the studio audience, but like I have these weird OCDs that manifest themselves in different ways, and I get weird anxiety. So I feel it's better just to let people know that I'm just a weirdo, and then
No,
I can just go fix it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm weird. I got to do this really quick.
no, that's fine.
Oh yeah, Dawn and Sloan. Dawn and Sloan. This year, Sloan is now moving into more news stories, and she sits in for Elliot for the 10 o'clock broadcast, and so she gets to sit behind the news desk and anchor it sometimes. And the 10 o'clock broadcast is EP'd by Dawn. So because there's a because they work together and he's her boss technically, that those things have to be shelved.
Mm. I understand.
It's funny that so many people would bring that up because it was something that happened just at the very end of the season, but I get asked about that so much.
It seemed like it was a setup for what's to come.
What's to come? Yes, possibly. Although we, you know, I just finished the season, so I could. It's honestly it's so strange, and I didn't do this last season, but this season was a little bit of a whirlwind. And Aaron talked about it in the new Hollywood Reporter issue that's out about us restarting the season. That we shot 2 full episodes, and we restarted again. And so my mind's kind of a blur. I'm like, what was I actually doing last season? Because it's a different structure than last year. We have unlike last year where there's one a different big news story for every episode. There's this one news story that follows the whole episode. So the personal stuff kind of jumps in and out through it. So yeah, obviously, you can't address something like that and then it just completely go away.
So,
That answers your question.
sure. Yeah. So Aaron Sorkin spoke about reshooting 2 of the first episodes of the season. How much of an impact did that have on you as an actor? Were your storylines featured prominently in those 2 episodes?
No, before that point, I hadn't really, we'd done 2 and I'd seen 3, and I didn't really have that much to do. And but even if I did, to me, I said to Aaron, I said, this is your show. Like, we're all here along for the ride, but this is, and I think that we know, especially after last season, this is his show with his name on it. He knows better than anybody else, and we're all just so proud to be with him and to be along for the ride and just trying our best to do his words justice. So at least for me, but also I have no loved ones or friends or hobbies, so I didn't have anywhere to go after. I was like, no, we start, let's hang out. So I think my answer might be different than other people who have a life. So, but for me, I thought whatever he wants to do, we should do.
One of our readers, Jay Freeman, asks, what political issues will be highlighted in season 2?
Well, we have a lot of stuff that we have stories that you've heard about, we touch on Trayvon Martin, stuff from Hurricane Sandy, and this year we have this. Last year there was a lot of the conversation from people who watch the show about the newsroom being kind of like a Monday morning quarterback, and it's in this season, instead of saying like, oh, this is how it should be done, not that we were saying that, but we had an element of a 2020 hindsight. This year we are the newsroom, our show ACN. We follow a story, and we're the ones messing up, and we're the ones making all the bad calls, and it really puts us into a bad position. And it's based on this real life story that happened at CNN, a thing called Tailwind, where CNN in 1998 went off and said that the government in the U.S. in the Vietnam War did all of these crazy, like completely against all of the rules of war, and it ended up you know, not being true. So Aaron was able to, he heard that story and went off and did, all the research and talked to people about it, and that became the inspiration for our season-long storyline.
Did you major in journalism in college?
I did
And,
at the University of Oklahoma.
and did you
Did you major in journalism?
I did not. I majored
What
in
did you major in?
English.
English.
Yes.
I'm always intimidated of people who know English. Seems like such a fancy degree.
Yeah. Um, did you work at all in TV journalism before you turned to acting?
I did. Well, in school, I worked at I had an internship at the CBS affiliate there, and then I wrote for the paper, and then I wrote for a magazine there, and then my first job out of school was at the NBC affiliate in Tulsa, and I worked at the assignment desk, where you have like all the police scanners and the fire scanners, and so everything was like, so my job was to basically be a receptionist and answer all the calls and talk to the viewers who were like mad about something, and then listen to the police scanners.
Did you enjoy it?
I would have if I was good at it. Like there was like 15 scanners there, and I'm sitting there, and you have to listen for like a school bus crash or fire or child injured here, like those key things, and they're always going nonstop because they're talking to each other. It's just static, and I never, got the hang of it. There'd be a producer from the other side of the room that was like, "There's a fire on 89th and 3rd," and I'm like, "What?" And people are running out. They're like, "Child injured on, in the tree on 82nd Street." I'm like, "What?" As I'm still like typing an email, like, "Lunch is in the break room, everybody." And what's happening? Why is everybody running? Because like you just could not hear like it was just a lot of static to me. It was not a skill that I was very good at.
One of our readers, Kai Bain Salazar, asks, Olivia, do you miss the video game world?
I do. I miss it every day. I love hosting Attack of the Show so much. When I came on, the big goal was, let's make something that the that the people at home will be entertained by. We want them to feel like they're hanging out with their friends, and we want it to have a polish to it so that people knew that we took it seriously and we respected their time. But it was this really organic kind of lightning in a bottle situation with everybody involved, and we kind of wanted to be the daily show for geeks and technology and pop culture, and I'm doing all the skits. I mean, it's such a great group of people, and they were so smart, and I was able to always put on different costumes and different characters and stuff like that, and just have fun. And it was, I'm there was a like after I left, I even talked to people after I left T4, and they're like, it was like kind of like mom went out for milk and never came back. I said, but you have no idea. I screamed and fought, and I said I'd give you every weekend. I literally said like every weekend from here until whenever to do whatever you guys want. Like I will work on my shooting schedule and come and come back and do the show still. I'll do whatever you want. And they were like, no. And I said, well, can I come back and say goodbye? And I said, no. I said, well, can I drive by and wave? And they're like, no. And I said, can I like just come and get my stuff? They're like, no. And in fact, I remember at ComicCon, my last ComicCon, I had said to the fans, I said, look, I want you guys to know, everything I have is because of you. And, I'm just trying to go make some other dreams come true and see if I can. And I'm going to be there until, they change the locks and throw away the keys and just send me all my stuff. But I'll be there. And I kind of said that in jest. And what happened was I got an email. They're like, hey, they boxed up all your shit. Where do you want it? And I was like, wait, you really did that? And so then I just got like this. They're like, they boxed everything up, and I still had my key, and I was like, and my ID card, and it was only maybe like a month after Comic-Con, and the entire time I was trying to come back, and they literally just changed locks and gave me my stuff. Here's your stuff in boxes.
Ugh.
But the thing is that, the fans are still part of my, um, such a big part of my life, and they're lovingly called the OMFG, the Olivia Munn fan group. It just worked out that way, and they're so supportive, and what's so great is that you can't tell people who to like, and you can't tell people who to get behind, and they've been with me this whole way, and even making the jump to like the Daily Show and then to Sorkin, and that's the only reason why I think I feel comfortable doing, like, feeling brave enough to try this whole new world, and to try and work with this level of people, Jon Stewart and Steven Soderbergh and Aaron Sorkin, and because I know I came from a different world, and so usually it doesn't work out that way where the world allows you to try something different. But because of my fans, and because they've been so supportive, and because I do feel like they believe in me, that I don't mind trying, and I don't mind falling. It sounds strange, and I actually don't meet many people who, like, I truly, truly love my fans, and I don't know where I would be without. I know where I'd be. I would be hanging out at a Jamba Juice, getting a smoothie, and maybe like flipping around one of those real estate signs, like, come get a condo. That's where I'd be. And I would not be good at that.
I was gonna say, have you ever tried to flip one of those signs?
No, I'm so amazed. And I watch these people, I think there's so much energy you're putting into that. Does it work? Does anybody go, hey, great flip, I'll buy a condo? I don't know. It'd be great fun to find out.
Your
No, it wouldn't. That wouldn't be fun to find out.
your fan group, do they give you constructive criticism or only support?
Fan group, it's different because, like, I think fans by nature, they're just it's more supportive. They don't really criticize. But I do consider, so I don't want to say people like, oh, this one guy who criticized me was a fan. He's like, I'm not your fan. But when I had my own website, I had a forum. And I remember sometimes people would be on there and they'd say, like, I hate when she did this, or her voice is annoying, or she says this too many times. And if it wasn't malicious, if it wasn't just like laced with like all this, vulgar talk and just being mean for the sake of being mean, if they didn't like something, I would completely leave it on there, and people would ask me, like, well, you can control the forums, like, you can completely control it. And I said, but I mean, if they don't like me, they can say that. That's okay. Like, this forum is not a place for me to control. It's not the place for me to go, I'm feeling bad today, but today I'm going to feel good. I'm going to read my forums. So I kind of, and a lot of times I would be like, yeah, you know what, you're right. I do that too much. That is annoying. Or I never realized I did that. That's annoying. I'm going to stop. And then I would just go into the bathroom and, like, cut my inner thigh. Just that I could feel again.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just kidding.
Dan Chmielewski asks, you were a mainstay at Comic-Con. Any plans to be back next month?
Yes, I'm so excited to go back to Comic-Con. I'll be there just for like a day or two, but this time I'll just be going as a fan. And so I'm just kind of going, and, for like however many years, 5-6 years I've gone, and now I get to go as a fan, and so I'm just excited to be able to be there and not have to really go anywhere, or be anywhere.
Do you have to stand in the lines to get into the auditoriums, or can you cut the line?
There's a couple of places that I want to go because I want to see their big displays, but I think I'll be able to pull off a pass. But who wouldn't? I would skip a line if I could. Sure.
A lot of our readers are asking about how filming is going on your new movie in New York City.
Yeah, Beware the Night. It's so much fun. This director, Scott Derrickson, he is so great, and I've been working. Eric Bana is my husband in the movie. And man, oh man, this guy is so nice and so wonderful. And I always get nervous when I meet people. I always think, oh, like maybe they'll like. I'm like, in my head I think, yeah, we'll totally be friends, and like we get along so well, and we just need to hang out. And then I meet them, and then I'm like, oh, they don't. Oh, okay, it's not. I feel really uncomfortable. And it's usually because I'm uncomfortable and it makes them uncomfortable. It has nothing to do with what they're doing. It's like I just get weird. And then there's sometimes when people are just so easygoing that even me, like even if I wanted to get awkward, it doesn't happen. And that was like how it was when I first met Eric and we rehearsed and stuff. And it's scary. It's scary because the movie it's a supernatural thriller about this cop who and it's a real and I didn't know it was based on real things and a real story about this cop named Ralph Sarchi, and he actually is involved in the movie. He comes to set, he's there every day, but all this crazy supernatural stuff started happening while he was working, and then I was talking to Eric about it, and he's you hear things, and if you're a skeptic and you know, believer or not believer, and he said that he saw some footage that like you would never see on YouTube, that footage that is locked away somewhere that they brought out just for him to do the research, and he said he couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. And I immediately said, "Where is that? Can I see it? I have to see it now." And he was like, "No, don't let her see it. Just, like I'm being protective. Like don't look at it. You can't watch it." And I said, "No, where is it?" That kind of stuff. I'm a glutton for like just devastation. Like I'm just like, oh, where is it? I have to see it. I have to. I mean, even he's like, he didn't sleep. He's like, I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. I couldn't get it out of my head. And this is what the movie is based on. And it's so at first when I'm reading it, I'm like, this is like sometimes when you see something like that's crazy. Like how could that ever happen? Like this is for a movie. It'll be super scary when we watch it, but and then to find out that it was that no this is real and there's evidence and these are like they're all cops saying that yeah this is what happened. Just it's so scary. I'm kind of like waiting for something's gonna happen.
You got to get the footage and bring it to ComicCon and show it to everyone there.
Do you imagine? I should do that. I would get in so much trouble. I would get like the entire NYPD on my back, being like, you can't show people those things. But I would. I'll get a small group together. I'll find you, Patrick. Are you going to Comic-Con?
I am, yes. And I want to see the
Go every year?
I went last year. It was my first year in about 10 years, so.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, I did. It was a good time.
Last year I heard it's getting harder because the tickets are so expensive, and I think it was hard for a lot of people to go. My favorite thing about Comic-Con is all of the celebrities who you meet who will always say like, I'm like, oh, it's crazy. I'm like the king of Comic-Con. I'm like, we're like the queens and kings of Comic-Con. I'm like, yeah, everybody is. Like because it's like filled with celebrities. It's filled with actors. It's like, but everybody likes to go walk away thinking like, yeah, I'm like the king of Comic-Con. Like it's crazy. I'm like, yeah, my mom is the queen of Comic-Con. Like she had a web video once and people know who she is. Like it's like it's like actors love going there because they feel like such rock stars. But I'm like, I don't know if you know this, but as soon as they walk away from you, they're like freaking out over like Blossom over here. Like it's just like that everywhere. But no matter who you are, that they get there's a lot of love there. But I think it's so funny when celebrities walk away with such big heads and they're like, oh yeah, like we rule that place there. I'm like, yeah, everybody rules it. That's kind of like we're all in it together. Like it doesn't. And I'm not even and I would never consider myself the queen of anything. I feel like I'm more like a tour guide at Comic-Con. Like I point out famous buildings and tell you when to have your sack lunch and then keep on going through. That's kind of what my job is there.
Excellent. So even though you'll be there as a fan this year, you'll be providing free tours and maybe information. You can set up your own booth.
Yeah, I will. I should set up an information booth. I want to set up a tent outside and call it Munn-dercon, and we could just play like Taboo, like just like rounds of the game of unspeakable fun. It's such a fun game. Taboo. Have you played Taboo?
Yeah, not in a long time.
It's so much fun. Well, if I set up a Munn-dercon one year, I'll make sure to invite you.
All right, all right. Munn-dercon can be Taboo and exorcism footage screenings.
Oh my gosh, sold out.
Sold out.
Sold out right now, I'm sure.
One last question from reader Chris wants to know, what is the best prank someone has pulled on the set of the show?
We don't pull pranks on the show, not on the newsroom. You're kind of, you're really pretty. It's go go go, and you're doing a lot of stuff. So, and if they do, it's not around me. I haven't seen it. And also, I would be so afraid to pull a prank, because on the day that I had like a light day and I pull a prank and it's somebody's really heavy day and then I completely screw them up. But maybe one more last question. So Chris,
Sure.
Chris is in California, I think now. He moved there just a couple years ago, I believe. That's the Chris I know. I'm not sure if that is. I can't see his picture well. I have a thing. I know most of my fans. I do. I know who most of them are by their Twitter handles. Are you frozen?
Did I freeze?
I don't know if you were frozen or
Manuel.
you're just looking at a perpetual state of shock like this.
One last question then from Manuel Pedro, who asks, will you do any cosplay this time around?
I won't be doing cosplay unless I put on a helmet. But then I would feel like a douchebag. Like, I have to wear a helmet so that nobody recognizes me. Because, I mean, that's just stupid. And what a way to live life, like thinking that everybody must know who you are. But no, because I think my version of what I've always wanted to do is just wear like the ComicCon uniform, which is a t-shirt, jeans, and a backpack. That's it.
Right.
And backpack stuffed with like free shit. That's the fun thing at ComicCon. As long as it's free, they'll take it. I'm like, you don't need like a life-size Watchmen poster of the ship. Like it will wrap around your house. I want it. Got it. Take it.
Right.
They'll take everything. You don't need it.
In the moment, it's all important.
It is. It's ComicCon.
All right, Olivia, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Patrick. It's so nice to talk with you, and thank you all the fans for watching and for submitting questions. I'll go back down to here now.